Thank you so much, everybody, for coming out today to the 2024 Fresno County Public Library Poetry Contest Awards Ceremony. Thank you so much, everybody. So, that's kind of how I feel at the moment, too. I've been with the library myself 24 years, so it's kind of hard to imagine that this contest is actually older than my tenure here. But first of all, let me introduce myself. My name is James Tyner. I've been with the Fresno County Public Library for 24 years. I'm currently a principal librarian, but I've worked all the way up and I've worked at many different libraries. Another thing about me is I'm a poet. I have a published book. It's called The Ghetto Exorcist, an award-winning chapbook. I've graduated with an MFA degree from Fresno State in creative writing. I've done programs throughout the years in the libraries for free, everything from poetry workshops to writing, and it's one of my favorite things to be here with all of you and to talk. So just a little quick something, I just want to talk a little bit. So a story I want to share with all of you is many years ago when I had my first book, I was going to get the little check that came with the book, and I think it was like $60. It wasn't a lot of money. But they asked me, and the editor was in Detroit, and so they asked me where I was so they could send me my check, my address. And so when I mentioned Fresno, he just started gushing, and he kept saying, "You are in poetry land, you're in Poetry City." Everybody, it seemed like around the world, recognized Fresno, the amount of poets and writers that are coming out of here, everybody except for us. And so it's been my missions, especially during my time as Poet Laureate, is to get people up here to celebrate the writing, to celebrate all of us that make Fresno. And to really let the world see how many writers are coming out of here. And today is a perfect example. And what makes us special, there's a question that comes up a lot, is what makes a Fresno poet? What makes us separate? What makes us different? And there's a lot of answers to that. I don't have just one. But for me, it's all about the idea of work. We're just normal people trying to get through. We write about the things around us. We write about families. We write about our jobs. We write about school, those things that are important to us. And just that simple work ethic that ties all of us together. And it was one of my favorite parts is reading today and over the last couple weeks, all the different poems that you see those Fresno themes come up over and over again. Beautiful poetry about family, poetry about the world around us, animals, butterflies. So many cool things. So if you haven't read the poems yet, I highly recommend that when this is done, definitely go check them out. And you're going to get to hear some of those today as well. So yeah, let's see. So yeah, we do this every year. And it's a really great way to promote just the writing and the literature and everything, but also give up-and-coming poets the chance to read. And just to highlight some of the poets that have come out of here, it's too many to list, but if you get a chance, go to the genealogy room downtown at the Fresno Library, and you'll see books from poets that have kind of created where we are to this moment today. I'll mention people like Philip Levine, who wrote about working in Detroit in factories, and he taught here at Fresno State. Someone current like Mai Der Vang, who's writing about her journey here and her experiences here in the United States. And some of our judges today are also just groundbreaking and up-and-coming poets, and I can't wait for you to hear some of the work as well. So we're going to go ahead and get started, and before we do that, I'd like to introduce our current county librarian, and that's Sally Gomez. Before we bring her up, I just want to say a few words. So I've seen Sally over the years as a librarian, and she just has a passion for literacy, a passion for libraries, and then she's worked all the way from a librarian in the branches to administration. And so it's my honor and my pleasure to bring up Sally Gomez.
James. You're far too generous with your words, but I appreciate it. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Fresno County Public Library's 25th Annual Poetry Awards Ceremony. I'm Sally Gomez, County Librarian for Fresno County Public Library. As you may know, for the past 25 years, we've been celebrating our vibrant poetry community, as James said, by holding a contest in which poets of all ages can have their poetry read and reviewed by talented local professionals. We here at the Fresno County Public Library believe in the power of poetry, both as writers and readers. Not everyone in Fresno knows about the talented poetry community we have in the Central Valley. We hope this contest celebrates that community, helps to promote it, and fosters its growth. This year, we had a total of 216 submissions in all 4 categories, including elementary, middle, high school, and adult. We would like to thank everyone for their submissions and their thoughtful work. We would also like to thank the parents, teachers, school librarians, and all the members of our community who encouraged our contributors to enter this poetry contest. In addition, we would like to thank our support organization, the Friends of the Fresno County Public Library, for generously donating the prizes our winners are receiving, and we do have a few members of our FOL team here today, so thank you very much. We do appreciate everything you do for us. They generously donated the prizes. So each winner will receive a gift card to a bookstore. In addition, the winners will be able to read their poems at the end of the ceremony if they so choose. For this contest, we asked local distinguished poets to lend their expertise to review and choose the best poems in each of our categories. These judges generously donated their time to read through the many submissions and have selected our finalists and winners. So again, we appreciate you being here and thank you, and we're about ready to celebrate all of our winners. So I'm going to turn it back over to James, and he's going to introduce our categories. Thank you, James.
All right, so just before we get started with the different categories, the different judges, I just kind of want to reiterate what Sally was saying about the Friends of the Library that have helped us out so much. So many things you see around your branches were from items that the Friends got for us, so we're able to raise money. So it's a volunteer organization that really helps us get through. Just wanted to see if, did we have some representatives in the back? Would you like to say a few words? Just want to introduce everybody to Shannon Wise.
Hello, my name is Shannon Wise. I'm on the board of Friends of the Library. We are here to support the library with whatever projects that the librarians are doing or that want to offer to the public. So your craft supplies, your art supplies, anything that you do where you go to the library and spend time, they usually come to us and ask us to fund those programs, and we never say no. The poetry contest is very important to us. It's always been very important to us. And this year we've decided to raise the prize amounts because you work so hard to produce poetry that none of us could ever put a rhyme together to save our lives. And we so appreciate the effort you put in, and we thought everybody should be rewarded for that. So thank you all for participating. And if you ever are interested in becoming a friend of the library, you can reach out to us at any time, and we'd love to have new members. We always want new members. So thank you all, and congratulations to the winners. I did that backwards.
There we go. Awesome, thank you. All right, so before we get started, and again, thank you to the Friends of the Library for doing all of this and helping us organize this year after year. So let's give them a round of applause again. So we're now going to start with going to have some of the judges come up that are here, and then we're going to announce the winners for the different prize categories. But before we do that, I just want to tell everybody a little bit of a story, just a small one, about writing, about poetry, and about Fresno. And why it's so important to me to have all of you here today. So many, many years ago, it was around 1996, I was living in the mountains of Spain in the middle of nowhere. There was no cities around, there was nothing. And I was living in this tiny little structure in a really small town by the name of Monteagudo, in the middle of nowhere. And once a week, some of the people I lived with would take a journey, about a 30-minute drive to the nearest town to bring supplies back. And so they came back with a copy of the Los Angeles Times. And I remember it was like 95, 96, and I see this paper, and I'm so excited to see something in English, but also from California. So I open up this newspaper, and in the back, there's this article about Fresno, and it's about Fresno poets. And I was probably around 20, 21 at the time, and there was just this huge multi-page article about 4 or 5 different writers that were coming out of the valley and the things that they were doing and what impact it had on the rest of the nation. And I thought, how come I've never heard of this? So ever since then, that was kind of the seed in me to start learning more about poetry. And ever since then, I've been super passionate about it. And so it means so much to me to be here with all of you, and I can't wait to hear your poems. So with that story said, let's go ahead and get started. All right, so let me introduce the first category that we're going to go through today is the 3rd through 5th grade. The judge for the 3rd through 5th grade was sorry, was Jessica Turney Lua. She's not here with us today, so I'm going to read a little bit about Jessica. So Jessica was raised in Madera, California, and graduated with her MFA in poetry from Fresno State. She's been published in Mayday Magazine, Nell, A Sharp Piece of Awesome, and was a finalist in Frontier's Open Prize. She also received the Ernesto Trejo Poetry Prize from the Academy of American Poets, and Jessica is the Reading and Writing Specialist for Fresno State's TRIO, Student Services Success Program, and Student Services Success Veterans. All right. So these... All right, so now we're going to we're going to announce the award winners for the 3rd through 5th grade. All right, so once we announce your name, if you could please come up and receive your award from. So 3rd place for this category is Ava F. Congratulations. We're just going to take a picture. Okay. 2nd place is Elliot Wang. Oh, here, Elliot. And our 1st place winner for this year is Amy Smith. If anybody, parents or family would like to come take a picture, please feel free. Awesome, congratulations. Now, I do know as a poet that your first few times when you're reading, and even now, sometimes it can get nerve-wracking to come up and read. So at the end of the reading, the award ceremony, we will have an opportunity for poets to come up and read. Don't feel like you're forced to, but it's always, for an audience member, it's great to hear the poem spoken as well as read, so we'll give everybody an opportunity at the end, but again, don't feel forced. So our next category is going to be the 6th through 8th grade. The poet judge was Aidid Medina, a longtime friend of mine. Unfortunately, she could not be here, so I'm going to read a little bit about Aidid, because if I had to make it up on the fly, we'd be here a long time. She's a great poet. So middle school judge is Aidid Medina. Aidid is a poet and spoken word artist. Her work has appeared in Fresno State's Club Austro Literary Magazine, Chicano Writers and Artists Association Journal, online on La Bloga, Poets Responding, Art of the Commune, and as part of a collection of original art songs composed for the opera remix, Fresno Grand Opera. She is currently working on a collection of poems related to her exploration of California's natural history. Aidid is also involved with the library program called Reforma to raise awareness for Hispanic librarians and libraries. So, amazing poet. So she could not be here today, so we're going to make the announcements. So the winners for the 6th and 8th grade, for 3rd place we have Kate Aburto. Congratulations. For 2nd place, we have Cecilia G. And for 1st place, we have Llorin P. Congratulations. These are our 6th to 8th grade winners. Awesome, congratulations. All right, our next category was what we call the high school category, the 9th grade through 12th grade. This year's judge was Mariah Bosch. Let me read a little piece here. So Mariah Bosch is a recent graduate of the Fresno State MFA program in creative writing, and her work can be found on poets.org, Hobart, Cosmonauts Avenue, and elsewhere. And I have to say personally, I love her poetry, one of my favorite more recent poets. And we're going to announce the winners for the 9th through 12th grade. So the 3rd place winner, Joe Westerlin. Zoe, I'm sorry. Zoe Westerlin, forgive me. Second place winner is Azariyah White. Okay. And our first place winner is Maryana Perez Hernandez. Congratulations. For our adult category, where Judge Angela Chidas Vincent is here, I just want to read this small piece here. Angela writes poetry and fiction and teaches computer programming and mathematics in Fresno, California. She enjoys blending creative writing and scientific inquiry by teaching annual summer workshops for Kenyon Review young writers in a section devoted to science writing. Her work has appeared in North American Review, Atlanta Review, 32 Poems, and Bellevue Review, among others. She has also recently shown work in several text, image, sculpture collaborations, both locally and in New York. And she holds an MFA in creative writing from Fresno State, and she's also a longtime friend of mine.
Hello, everyone. It was a pleasure to read the adult category entrance. It was very difficult to choose, and here are our winners. In third place, we have Matt Gerking. Congratulations. For each one, I wrote a few words on each poem, and I'd love to share those with you. In such a short space, this piece turned in surprising directions more than once. Its anger is palpable and reaches for contemporary relevance with a forceful sting and is measured by a forceful sting followed by a measured return to natural origins, that of the butterflies and ourselves outside the notion of empire. Our second place is Kristin C. Congratulations. Did I say your name correctly? Okay. On Kristin's poem, Leftovers, I wrote, this piece strikes me as a quietly emotional rendering of loneliness and existential anxiety hiding in a takeout box. I admired the specific details and the patient and vulnerable unfolding of a particular sadness that can be universally understood, yet is presented in a unique and beautifully rendered context. Congratulations. And our first place, Isabella de la Torre. Congratulations to Isabella. Her poem, The Reintroduction of the Pyrenean Ibex. I wrote wholly original sequential observations of two starkly different environments of the Ibex, ambitious spans of both time and place. A lively and oblique connection-seeking mind is at work here, a complex piece with a surprising revelation that rewards multiple readings. Congratulations to all three of our adult category winners.
Thank you so much. Thank you. So we'd like to once again thank all of our judges who have participated and gave of their time to make this happen. And congratulations again to all of our winners. Wonderful, wonderful work. Thank you so much for being here. At this time, we'd like to invite anybody who would like to come up and read your poems. So we'll start with our third through fifth grade readers or winners. If you'd like to read your poem, you're welcome to come up now.
Two Little Ants by Amy Smith. It's the end of spring, getting warmer. In the forest, campfires smolder, and it starts to rain. Two little ants shuffle under a rock. To us it's a pebble, to them it's a boulder. They are looking for a bit of leftover nuts and seeds for the rest of their colony. One whines about the rain. We can't search for food now, just look at this downpour. The other replies, I agree, but we should still look at this cheerfully. The sparrows and robins can't find us in this rain. It rains and rains, but finally the sun peeks out from behind the trees. Puddles and streams that the shower left trickle through the ground. Though they are only inches deep, to the little ants it was like a vast sea. One said, let's keep looking for seeds. But the other replies, okay, but we should probably go search up in the trees. It's the much safer way to go, you know. One says, but it will be hard to climb from branch to branch. On the ground, it will be easy. The other replies, you go your way and I'll go mine, and we can both look for seeds the way we please. So one ant ventures through the mud, and the other starts to climb a nearby oak tree, both looking for a bit of leftover nuts and seeds for the rest of their colony. One slowly trudges through the soil, but then with the sounds of a bird's morning chirp, it quickly picks up its pace. For the ant is out in the open, and it is worried to be prey to a predator's hungry race. Too worried to remember to collect those nuts and seeds, and has nothing for the rest of its colony. The other swiftly climbs through the trees with no worry because of the protection of the canopy, carrying every nut and seed it sees, all for the rest of the colony. Both ants return to their colony. One returns empty, the other with plenty. One is baffled and asks, how do you do it? How do you find so many nuts and seeds? The other replies, because I went through the trees. When I heard the birds sound from the ground, I wasn't worried because the leaves from the branches protected me. The colony feasts hand in hand. Even the one who wished that it got better ate right beside the other with a face filled with laughter, and the two little ants lived happily ever after. Two little ants who scavenged for food. One was grim, but the other kept a good mood. One took the easy way, but the other took it the better way. One hindered, but the other aided. One gave up when trouble came, but the other stayed brave. Two little ants who live beneath our feet. Two little ants who act just like you and me. Which one will you decide to be?
Thank you. Do we have any other of our 3rd through 5th graders who would like to read your poems? All right. Moving on to 6th through 8th grade, do we have any 6th through 8th graders who would like to come up and read? Oh, wonderful. Come on up. Thank you.
Should I read the title?
Sure.
Okay. Caution. Caution. Vegetation ahead. My garden's a mess, a haven of stress, and overgrown bushes and stuff. There's old rubber hoses and prickly roses with berries and cottony fluff. There's cobwebs and seeds and so many weeds, I can't even count them at all. My shears are rusty, my composter's dusty, and thorn bushes grow on the wall. There's lots of old stumps and countless bumps and hundreds of squished moldy fruits. There's tons of toy trucks and a family of ducks living in my hiking boots. My gutters have sludge and the snails won't budge, while the dirt is hard cracked and dry. And then at this rate they'll deteriorate, and all that is left would be flies.
Okay, any other of our 3rd through 5th? Okay, perfect. All right, moving on to 6th through 8th. Do we have any 6th through 8th graders who would like to read? Come on up. Thank you.
Beauty. Many only see it by looking at gardens in full bloom. It is rare that they see beauty in a simple sidewalk too. The smooth, run-down pavement carved into the ground, its surface holds the footsteps of many youth. The cracks caused by many journeys to and back from school, it is the ground that has felt drops of water for both someone's tears and heavy rain. Having beauty is having experience. Eroded hills were once mountains too, beat down through years of life and seasons. Like the golden Saharan sand that has traveled across itself for generations, the breeze has moved it all around, but it still stays the same. I wonder how water can crash with so much purpose onto dirty sand, and how land can be parted so perfectly a river can be named. But I realize time does not discriminate nor favors. It reforms. The way a wrinkled hand can display years of one's hard work, and the way someone's scarred arms can hold the burden of many painful tears. A wooden table too has beauty, its varnished curves carved from trees who once stood tall. Beauty is all around. It is never ending. It is merely just reformed. To have beauty is to have experience, but to have experience, you need life.
Thank you. All right. Would any of our other 6th through 8th grade want to come up and read? Perfect. Thank you.
Home. My home is in the chipped paint on my floorboards and on the wall of my grandma's paintings. Home is in the houses and the places from the book my brothers and I read before 9. Home is in the little market in Kings Canyon, Lunchables and all. Home is in being the first girl born in the family in 59 years. Home is in the beach house my cousins and I go to every Labor Day. Home is in going to the school my brother went to and my grandma taught at. Home is in the chair in my room 5 generations down. Home is in the dance breaks in the kitchen. Home is in the grief my family and I have suffered a year ago. Home is in the spicy aroma of garlic and olives of when my parents make pasta. Home is in the infectious laughter that floats when I'm with my friends. Home is anywhere and everywhere. Home is in the little things anywhere I go.
Thank you. Okay. Do we have anybody else? Yes, please.
Where I'm from by Kay Aburto. I come from a family of immigrants who like to barbecue on Sundays to forget their troubles. I come from a family that pushes me to do better in school but didn't go themselves, so what would they know? I come from a family that says tú puedes but don't know what it feels like to have teachers tell me the opposite. I come from a school where friends are going to be with you every step of the way but only say that to your face. I come from a school where sitting alone at lunch makes you a loner, but sitting with fake people is better. I come from a school where you can tell anything to a teacher, but when you open up, they gossip about you to admin. I come from friends who I tell anything to and consider sisters, but when I tell them something through their ear, it goes out their mouth, but to another. I come from friends who plant things in front of you, but leave out the part where you're invited. I come from a community that has beautiful bright green lawns, but that's only thanks to the immigrant jardinero, whom they can only refer to as Juan or Jose because it would take too much to know the name of the person they don't want in their country. I come from a community that looks happy on the outside, but feels like a shadow on the inside just like everyone else.
So I believe that was all of our 6th through 8th grade readers. So next up would be our high school readers. Our high school readers.
Wildflower by Zoe Westerland. I'm a wildflower, living down by the creek. No storm nor lightning can uproot me. If caution is the wind and passion is the sea, are we all of nature's wildest things? My mother is a strong oak tree. My father is the sky. Brother is the sea. What makes you believe you can harvest me? You can find me in all colors, maroon, yellow, and green. I can grow in the meadow, harness the breeze. Nature's only daughter, as free as can be. I can grow where the land goes, like a river can become the sea. Petals like silk, grass soft upon the hill. In lavender, rose, and bloom, shades of youth. The wolves are singing, the birds are shouting, in the wildest symphony.
Thank you. And before we move on to the final category, I did want to let everybody know that one of our actually our first place high school 6th through or 9th through 12th grade winner has arrived. Doesn't want to come up, but we just wanted to say congratulations to Maryana Perez Hernandez. Great job, Maryana. Thank you so much for being here. And we'll make sure she gets her award right after we finish up here. Okay, so moving on to our final category, do we have any of our adult winners who would like to come up and read? Thank you.
Scanning for butterflies in April. In my backyard, scanning for butterflies in April. Cabbage white, non-native. California sister, native. Yellow swallowtail, non-native. Stop classifying, you colonizer. The need to know and record stems from ownership, like a pirate counting your jewels. They don't know where they're from. They're just beautiful. Just butterflies. Temporary, like you.
This is leftovers. A to-go box from Irene's, leftover meatloaf, a bite of mashed potatoes, 3 discs of soggy yellow squash. The squash that should have been left on the plate at the restaurant to congeal with the butter and then be tossed away with the other food waste. A vegetable, unappetizing when fresh, even more inedible in attempted revision. If it doesn't get eaten today, transformed, it will be a waste. Food waste, leftovers, the bane and the boon of a single-person household. A waste of precious resources. $18 plus tax and tip on only one meal. It could simply be a sandwich, an inelegant but simple transformation. 2 pieces of bread, mayonnaise, and a thick slice of leftover meatloaf. It could be, if the loaf of bread weren't growing a healthy beard, turning into a kitchen gnome perched atop the refrigerator. It could be Salisbury steak, covered in a quick, sweet gravy. But that would be better with mushrooms, and there are none in the house. Who can keep mushrooms past the time it takes to make a recipe? If I had planned better, it could have become shepherd's pie, a particular favorite meal. But again, there's no time, and the dishes created would teeter off balance in a growing stack, becoming musty in the sink for days. It ends up on a plate, as it is, unsatisfactory for having been eaten in the same way 2 days ago at lunch at the restaurant with friends and a lively discussion. Here, it is lonely, it is bland, it is simply leftovers, not transformed into something new and interesting, not seasoned by a knowing glance, a perked up ear, a shared laugh, no longer savored in the context of a larger occasion. A meager meal, eaten while standing at the counter, a used fork from the sink rinsed off and used again, hands reaching for a dish towel rather than pulling out a napkin. No napkins for this meal, sustenance only, shoving it in to feel full but not fulfilled, quickly consumed and forgotten. Next time I will plan better. Next time I will know what to make with the leftovers from a meal and with the time. With the time. With the time. And the transformation will be elegant, simple, delicious. Next time, the time that's left over.
The Reintroduction of the Pyrenean Ibex. 2000. Memories entangled in the thawing snowpack. Years fleeting under the wandering cloud. Storm breaks as the lone female bounds away, where rotting wood collides with her body, where her soul rains down into the soil, where skeletons caress the earthworms. 2003. Rebirth under fluorescent lights. A moment, a breath, under sterilized air, before descending into darkness, minutes as a messiah before reinstincture. Thank you.
Okay, this brings us to the end, but just to double check, was there any other readers that didn't get a chance to read? Okay, all All right. So one of the things today I really want to push is that this is all about community. It's about coming together as poets. It's about meeting each other. It's about learning from each other. This is a really quick story. The poet Philip Levine, a Fresno poet, I think I mentioned him earlier. He was a Pulitzer Prize winner as a professor at Fresno State. He was also a United States Poet Laureate, and he was a regular user at the Gillis Library, for those of you who know that branch. And he would come in every Wednesday. Every Wednesday morning he would come and he'd pick up his hold. So I got to know him really well outside of poetry. I got to know him as a library user. And he was, I believe, in his early 80s when he decided to become Poet Laureate of the United States. And it was something he was kind of against, but when he did it, he went all in. And I saw him, he came to get his holds the next morning, and he had big bags under his eyes. He was very, very tired. He was exhausted. And he told me he had 8 interviews all night with big, newspapers or whatever, and then he had interviews all day. And I said, are you okay? Because he was tired. And he said, James, I am tired because I do it for Fresno. He says, I love the city, I love the people here, and that's why I'm doing this today, and that's why I became Poet Laureate. And it was such a powerful impact for me, powerful moment. So if I can leave any of you with that, remember that. Let's do it for Fresno, let's do it for each other. And so when I was Poet Laureate myself, in fact, it was not too long after that moment, and it was those exact words that I decided to become Poet Laureate myself for Fresno. I was Fresno's first. As part of that, I had to write a poem. This poem was recently part of a big Idea Fest work for Fresno Unified, and a lot of the students had to study this poor poem, and they did artwork on it. There was a big celebration, a big event. So I'm just going to share this poem with you, and then after that we'll wrap up. And this is the poem I wrote as the first Poet Laureate of Fresno, and it's called I Am Fresno. I am Fresno. I'm the high school kid that can't wait to get out of this town. There's nothing to do here. Nothing ever happens. Waiting for that last summer before heading out of the city. I'm the kid just back from college, moving back in with mom and dad, trying to find a job now that school's over. Back home again, taking down old posters from the wall and putting up diplomas. I am the couple that just bought their first house, a fixer-upper, the yard golden from too much sun, and their 3-year-old walking up the steps with paint still on Dad's pants from the bedroom he just finished painting. I am fields of vines, grapes growing in a vast green, raisins drying on brown paper, strawberries just plucked from the field. I'm moving north, new buildings, restaurants, glass and plastic, meeting not so far from the river, a hail of lights and traffic. I'm coming back downtown, dusting off the concrete and brick of old restaurants that have been there for years, fresh again. I am new businesses sprouting and food trucks turning up like flowers over asphalt. I'm a softball player, mid-clenched tightly, a wrestler alone on a mat, a stadium of waving red. I'm a long line of poets, words spreading through culture, through time, through classrooms, through books. I am the owner of championships, of Pulitzers, of Oscars, Tonys, struggling to win just one more thing. I'm noticing myself, finally. I'm at a family barbecue and all the children there share the same last name, the same blood, and all have different shades of skin. My father by the pool speaking Spanish to my daughter, his aged brown hand running through her wispy blonde hair. I'm a bowl of pho for breakfast, the noodles warm and broth like a hug, meat tender and fresh. I'm a lula kebab for lunch, the spice just behind the tongue, pilaf golden and perfect. I'm sitting at the dinner table rolling a hot dog into a corn tortilla, boiled beans and white rice, the air growing smoky from the tri-tip barbecuing outside, and my cousin bringing in a plate of pan-fried noodles from that place down the street. I am home. I am Fresno. Well, before we finish, I just want to make a couple of announcements. One of the great things about poetry is that it works on a written level, it works on a spoken level, and they both have power. So we have all of the poems on display in the back. Please take your time, read the poems. Also, this is an opportunity to be together as poets. Please meet each other, get to know each other. I also want to mention, as people are graduating and school's ending, this is the busy time for libraries. We have lots of cool things going on. We have summer at your library this year, which includes fun shows such as a reptile show, bubble show, all kinds of awesome things. Their shows are at all of the branches in the system, or most of them. Please come see some of the shows that they're starting here next week. To go along with that, we have a fun program where you can read and earn free books. You can even get these cool collectible pins that we have new ones each year. We have librarians out front that will sign you up, and they have more information for you. I know I sound like a telemarketer, but it's a really awesome program, and it promotes literacy and all the good things throughout the year, throughout the summer. So please take advantage of that. It's all free, and we're here to serve you. So last off, just a final round of applause to all the participants, all the winners. A part of being a poet is a sense of bravery. Sometimes you have to break through what's here and get up and stand in front. Sometimes you got to face that paper alone and write those words down. So a big congratulations once again. Thank you all for coming today, and we appreciate everything. Thank you.